Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
You know, it's so good catching up with you again. It's been a few years since they came out with your signature model over at the Gibson factory with the white fang and just a beautiful guitar. Now you've got a brand new album, the original George Thorogood. And I got to tell you, I love all the tracks on here.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Well, actually, we had you in mind when we were putting that thing together, Eric. Eric, I've never questioned your loyalty. I've just questioned your sanity.
And so many people do, George. I got to tell you, though, one song that I can no longer play in my car of yours when I'm driving is Gear Jammer. Because for some reason, when I'm listening to you perform that song, the speed of my vehicle increases also.
That is a standard thing to happen, not with that song in particular, but thank you. But that happens to a lot of people.
You know, and that on this album, you're really, a lot of people don't realize what a prolific songwriter you are also. And this album is really focused on the songs that you've written, besides the incredible songs that you've covered by blues, legends that you and I both appreciate so much and you've shared stages with.
Well, this was, sometimes, Eric, there's victory in surrender. For years, I was always harping on the fact that I got tired, especially doing interviews. Some of the first things people would say was, how come you don't do any originals? You just do covers. I'd say, well, first of all, I don't do covers. I do obscure material. That's what we do. And number two is Bob Costas had me on his show. And the first thing he said was, how come you don't do any originals? And I got angry. I said, well, who have you been talking to? Because you obviously haven't been listening to all our records. Well, that's an easy mistake to make when you hear on the radio, who do you love moving on over in Bourbon, Scotch, and Beer, which I didn't write. But they're not just the songs that completely define George Thorogood. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of gave up the hope a couple years ago. And out of nowhere, Matt from Capitol Records says to our manager, Adam had been hinting about it for a while and said, why don't we put out an album of George's original? There's some good songs here. Why don't we put together? I said, wow. It's like when a guy goes into a bar and he's looking to pick up a woman and it never happens. But then when he goes into a bar and he's not looking for something happens. See, so there's victory and surrender. So
it really is. And yeah, I love your original song.
I just said, well, I'll just give up that dream. And that let me know it wasn't within a week we get a phone call. So I'm glad you're enjoying.
Well, and George, you're so well known for your live performances. And I've seen you on tour multiple times, sharing stages with Buddy Guy and so many other great artists. But it's like you always just bring the live show. And I think sometimes, with you and the Delaware Destroyers, is that, it's hard to believe you guys launched this band in 1976, but your live performances are so huge and your songs and music are kind of ingrained in our culture now, George.
Well, Eric, if you don't play good, they'll go see somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't want to get fired from my own job. I'm a very strict boss. We've had from day one, some of the situations that yours truly had got thrown into was my first job I got was opening for Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. Then later, we put the band together and we were opening for the likes of Hound Dog Taylor, Howling Wolf, John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters, John Hammond. And, we had to come up with it. You're opening for Howling Wolf, man. You better have something, so we were under the gun from day one. Right. So as times progressed, we'd say, well, we're going on now tonight, and you're going on first. And after was the Jay Giles Band, then the Rolling Stones. What? Wake up. Coffee time, So we had to come up with the goods, right?
Right.
But Bill Graham would have got somebody else. So time went on, and we evolved into whatever we are now. And some of the acts we've had to go on after was Buddy Guy, Little Richard, James Brown, wow. Dr. John, it was Taj Mahal, and I was like, it never ends with us.
Right.
It's like we're always on the spot, so to speak. Like, we went on a tour, and we went on after a Buddy Guy, and I said, man, I love Buddy Guy. Everybody does. He's brilliant. And I said, man, I don't want to do that again. And then about 2 years later, they came up with another offer, and I said, okay, well, who are we going to be working with this time? Thank God the Beatles broke up. I mean, yeah, you got to throw us into the fire now. And they said, well, we want to do Buddy Guy again. I went, what? Again? It's like Ali saying, I got to fight Frazier again.
Right.
It was like, oh man. And I said, well, why us? And they said, well, there's nobody else. See, so like we did a show, the tribute to Bob Dylan, Bad Bob, back in a ways back. They were celebrating Bob's 30th anniversary in music, and Columbia threw this big party at Madison Square Garden, and I got invited to play. And Bob Dylan himself went. What I heard that he went over the list of artists he wanted to be on it, and somehow we ended up on the list. Okay. So we shared a dressing room with the likes of Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, and Johnny Cash. Now, right there, what does that tell you? Bring plenty of toilet paper, okay? Anyway, I have to do that. So I went out there and played Wanted Man, which Bob Dylan wrote for Johnny Cash. And I had to go on after Stevie Wonder.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. In front of 15,000 people. And it was being filmed. So after it happened, we were all talking, and I was going, man, I can't believe I got invited to do this. All these heavyweights. I mean, they had George Harrison there, and your buddy Eric Clapton and Tom Petty, who's brilliant. And I said, and I got thrown into this bunch. And I said, why me? Well, how did I do this? And I kept repeating. Finally, Chris Christopherson goes over and throws his arm around me with that great voice Chris has got, And then he says, well, George, don't be too flattered, because we all chose you because we knew you would be the only one dumb enough to go on after Stevie Wonder. So nobody wanted that slot. And they said, well, we know somebody we can get.
Because you're that bold. But I mean, also, George, all joking aside, you're such a humble artist, considering your stature and everything in the music industry. But in 2018, you won the BB King Award.
Thank you. We did from Montreal. We got that, and other people. Charlie Musselwhite got that award. I still have it. I think I gave it to my daughter. You used the word humble. I'm not close to the word humble. I used to use the word reality. So I deal with reality. So, you're so humble. I go, well, wait a minute. I just told you about some of the heaviest people in the rock world, in the blues world. So when I say I have to work with these people, it is an honor and it's a thrill, but it's you have to be up for the challenge. Right. I mean, we just got done a gig this summer where it was a real easy gig. We had to go on before Willie Nelson and ZZ Top. Now, what I mean, okay, let's get Thorogood. He's got nothing to do. He's affordable. He don't know no different. So I don't use the word humble. I use the word reality. I deal with that. This is what we are. I mean, I look at it like a baseball team. Okay, somebody's got to bat first, or somebody's got to bat last. Right. And they said, just give Thorogood a uniform. I said, well, somebody's got to play first, So I'll say, well, right here, you got it, So it's nice to be humble about something. You have to have something to begin with. You have to have something to be humble about. We deal with reality.
Well, and the reality is
we don't have our own reality show yet.
Well, your shows, though, everyone I've attended, you come away uplifted. The music is fun. You can sing along to it. It's rocking. You have fun on stage. And I know that you're also coming here to Nashville, May 19th, and you're going to be playing the Ryman Auditorium also, George.
Third time.
Weren't you on the Opry like a year or so ago? Didn't you make an appearance?
You name it, I've done it. I don't always know what the results are, but they keep asking us back. So something's happened. The first time we did that at the Ryman, the night before we played in St. Louis, and the venue we worked, I had the same dressing room that when Bob Dylan played there, I had Bob Dylan's dressing room.
Wow.
The next night we played at the Ryman, and I used the same dressing room that Hank Williams used.
Amazing.
So 2 nights in a row, I'm sitting there thinking, Georgie boy, what more do you want from your life? They're paying you to use the same dressing room as Bad Bob and the same dressing room as Hank Williams back to back. So, right. You gotta look around yourself and really deal with reality, as I say. Mm-hmm. What's really happening to you right at this moment. Right at this moment, you're in Hank Williams' dressing room. Right at this moment, you're talking to Eric the Great.
Sometimes there's a step down, George. I'm sorry.
Nah, step down, a step over. Okay,
well, I also want to mention.
I'm sidetracking right here.
Yeah, I want to mention also that you and your daughter do a lot of great charity and humanitarian work also. And I always keep up with you guys, and all the great things you do. And every year you find some way to give back besides through your music and your performances and albums and everything you do. You and your daughter do some great work with charities too.
Well, it's not really a charity when you're donating money for research on ovarian cancer. That's serious. Right. Charity to me is lending your best buddy $10 because he's broke. Now that's charity. Mm-hmm. Selling a T-shirt and the proceeds go to research for leukemia. That's some serious stuff. It ain't no charity case. It's a necessity. Right. And the reality is those diseases are still, tearing up the planet. So, whatever little the destroyers can do, to help that. I mean, I've witnessed firsthand seeing people going through leukemia and seeing people going through ovarian cancer. It's not a pretty sight. It's not like being on stage and playing bourbon, scotch, and beer. All right. That's the real world. Mm-hmm. And so we said, well, hey, what about the kid? What could I do? Because I thought, well, what's the government doing? How much money are they donating for my taxes to go to these research for this, which they never tell you. Right. I'd like to go to the White House and say, hey, I want my accountant to look at the papers. So we said, well, if we don't know what the feds are doing, we'll do what we can.
Right. And you certainly have. And I know on this tour that you're going to be doing this year, which we're so thankful you're coming through Nashville again, it's good to be bad to the bone, 45th. And, I think this is in the 46th year. Will this keep going to the 50th year, George?
How do I know? I hope the planet is still going a year from now. That's the main concern of everybody. We still going to be here and in reasonably good health. As far as where we fit in, I don't know. Why are you making an offer?
I'll come see you again, George.
See, I ain't cheap, but I can be had.
It's so incredible with, the brand new album out this April, the original George Thorogood. I know it's on digital, CD, vinyl, and then the limited translucent orange vinyl also.
Well, it's an amazing time we live in, Eric, with that kind of thing. When I was a youngster, you got a single, and then you got an album, and that was it. Right. There was nothing else. There was no other avenue for distribution of music at that time. Then along came 8-tracks, and then along came cassettes, then along came CDs. After that, I kind of got lost. Whatever's out there, like I say, the avenues of distribution for these kind of things is really quite remarkable.
It really is. I'll tell you, and speaking of which, it has to be, when you're on the road and even at home, when you're sitting back and all of a sudden, Terminator 2 comes on or one of these other movies with your music in it, The Fresh Prince, Married with Children, and you're going, yeah, that's my song. It's got to feel pretty good still, George.
Well, usually I grab for the remote and I try to turn on a good Lee Marvin movie.
You know what? They should have put your songs there, but you were ahead of your time.
Whatever. Somebody's thinking of us. It's like, I don't care how you talk about me, just don't leave me out of the conversation. Somebody somewhere knows we exist.
Right.
And how can you ask for more than that?
I'll tell you what, the brand new album is out, the original George Thorogood. You're going to be back with It's Good to Be Bad to the Bone tour. You're going to be here at the Ryman in Nashville on May 19th. George Thorogood, thank you so much for joining the Rock Interview.
See you at the Ryman, brother.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.